So now moving on to the spleen. I have a defined spleen, so I can have a really precise experience of what it means, and it's this immediate thing. It's almost like an animal, like a cat or a lizard, a snake, or something like that. It's really grounded in the present moment. This primal intuition, you know. Having it as an authority, even, it gives you this thing of being really able to make a decision in the moment. Other authority centers need for you to respond or to wait or do different things. The spleen knows right now what it is, and it doesn't explain itself, really. It just tells you like danger or this is okay, and that's it. It doesn't have a logical process of explaining why things are like that. This is, I think, one of the main differences people should be aware of when making a decision from their mind or their authority, you know. And it's also this thing of knowing what's good for you. It's a thing of health, you know, your immune system, your health in general. What is good for you? What places, what foods, what situations, what environments for work, or what kinds of relationships are good for you? The spleen, when it's defined, it knows all those things. However, one of the shadows of this, particularly if the spleen is connected to the sacral, where you have more energy even, is that you don't know when enough is enough, and you abuse this system. It's this kind of people that smoke, drink whiskey, do all the wrong things, and they're like 105 years old. And it's like, how do you do it? You know, these are kind of people with a defined spleen. But however, even when their system is stronger, they can make them collapse by abusing this strength of the immune system they have. But tell us a little bit more about your own experience with it.
Yeah, so I also have a defined spleen, but the difference between you and I is that it's your inner authority and it's not my inner authority, simply because I have the defined solar plexus, and so this emotional center and this emotional wave tends to take over. However, if I'm not emotionally activated, if the emotional wave is not there, I also have the same splenic intuition, basically, and I have the ability to tap into this intuition and to this deeper knowing of the body, basically. So I have it too, it's just not always as clear in the moment, basically. That's what I would say. And so being able to listen to it in the moment, I usually need to really take my time. And that's really what it is, you know. I need to ride this emotional wave, and then I can, once I take my time with it, I'm able to really feel deeper into this intuition. But what's really interesting also is to look at the open spleens. Yes, and how it comes up. Because really the spleen is it's our oldest awareness center, you know, that we have access to. And it's back from the days when we're, you know, living very tribal lives and still living in the wild, not being civilized at all, living in nature. And it's really about this fight or flight response, and really about our basic feeling of safety and security, basically, you know. And it really, it's, you know, is this safe or not? Whether it's, you know, is this food safe or not? Is this plant safe or not? Is this animal right there safe or not? You know, should I fight it? Should I run away? Is this other person safe or not? Do they belong to the tribe or not? You know, and as I said, as you can imagine, all sorts of life situations where this applies. And so when it's undefined, I've noticed two main shadows, and you mentioned them already when talking about the gifts, actually, of the defined spleen. But when it's open spleen, the two main shadows is going to be with health, and so you end up with people who are either having terrible diets because they don't have the natural intuition of what's healthy for them or not, basically. Terrible diets, abusing substances, staying with unhealthy habits for way too long, or it manifests very strongly also in relationships. Yes, and those are people who are able to stay with partners who are really toxic for them, who are unhealthy for them. Usually, eventually, it will also lead to health issues. And they stay in those relationships because they're looking for an outer sense of security, basically. And so they're holding on to this feeling of safety and security and stability through this other person, even though that person is not healthy for them. And so usually, you know, those open spleens have learned the hard way. Like if I give a reading to someone who's 40 or 50, by that time they already had, I don't know, some kind of a disease, some kind of a, I don't know, physical, you know, collapse. some kind of a really toxic relationship and have had to learn the hard way. And actually, a lot of the open spleens become like health freaks because they've had to learn over time. They know like, okay, I don't have the natural intuition of what's good for me or not. And so I have to learn systems actually of what's good for me, you know. And they had just, it's learned wisdom over time, and same with relationships. They've learned like, okay, I've been there, done that. I'm no longer going with that toxic type, for example. Yeah, and so those really are the two main dangers to look out for the open spleen. Yeah.
Mm.